My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest struggles of our time is not poverty, not hunger, not even fear. It is the restless heart, a heart that thinks too much about people, a heart that waits for messages, approval, attention, validation, a heart that becomes heavy, not because Allah has abandoned it, but because it has become too attached to creation. Remember this, your heart was created to be attached to Allah, not to be imprisoned by people. It is good to love. Islam encourages love, mercy, compassion, and kindness. But there is a difference between loving and losing yourself. There is a difference between caring and overthinking. When you lie awake at night, replaying conversations, worrying about someone's behavior, questioning your worth because of how someone treated you, pause. Ask yourself, where is my heart leaning right now? Because the heart is fragile. And if you do not protect it, the world will exhaust it. Many of our disappointments come from expectations. We expect people to understand us the way Allah understands us. We expect people to be consistent like Allah. We expect people to stay the same. While Allah already told us that human beings are weak, they change, their moods change, their promises change. Even their hearts change. But Allah never changes. So why exhaust yourself over someone who cannot carry the weight of your heart? Overthinking someone is often a sign that Tawakkul has become weak. Because when you truly trust Allah, you realize that nothing and no one can harm or benefit you except by His permission. If someone leaves, Allah allowed it. If someone stays, Allah allowed it. If someone hurts you, Allah is aware and He is more just than any human being will ever be. Sometimes Allah removes people from your life not as a punishment, but as protection. You were holding on tightly and Allah, out of mercy, loosened your grip before that attachment destroyed your peace. My brothers and sisters, learn this powerful balance. Care, but do not cling. Love, but do not obsess. Give, but do not lose yourself. The Prophet taught us dignity. He taught us that the believer is not desperate. The believer's heart is full because it is connected to the most merciful. When your heart is full of Allah, you do not beg people to stay. You do not chase what is not written. You do not shrink yourself to be accepted. Protect your heart by returning it to its rightful place. Sujood. When thoughts overwhelm you, go back to prayer. When someone occupies your mind too much, occupy your tongue with dhikr. When the heart feels heavy, unload it before Allah. Because Allah never tires of listening, but people do. And know this, if something was meant for you, it would never miss you. And if it missed you, it was never yours. No matter how much you wanted it, trust Allah even when it hurts. Trust Him when you don't understand. Trust Him when tears fall in the night. Because Allah sees what you cannot see and He is planning goodness even through pain. So stop thinking too much about people. Start thinking more about Allah. And when Allah is enough for you, nothing else will break you. May Allah protect our hearts, strengthen our trust in Him, and replace every unhealthy attachment with closeness to Him. Ameen. The heart is one of the most valuable gifts Allah has given to the human being. It is not just a physical organ, it is the center of faith, intention, emotion, and connection with Allah. When the heart is sound, everything else begins to fall into place, and when the heart is damaged, even the most successful life can feel empty. That is why protecting the heart is not a luxury in Islam, it is a responsibility. Many people carefully protect their wealth, their reputation, and their bodies, yet they leave their hearts completely exposed, allowing anyone to enter, disturb it, and walk away without care. One of the fastest ways the heart becomes wounded is through over-attachment to people. When the heart leans too heavily on someone, it begins to expect from them what only Allah can provide: constant understanding, unchanging loyalty, and emotional security. This is where pain begins. People are limited, imperfect, and often unaware of the depth of our feelings. They may disappoint us without intending to, or they may leave simply because their path in life has changed. When the heart is unguarded, every change in someone's behavior feels like a personal loss, and every silence feels like rejection. Allah reminds us that hearts are delicate. They absorb words, actions, and even neglect. A careless statement can linger in the heart for years, and a broken expectation can reshape how a person sees themselves. This is why wisdom lies in loving with awareness. Islam does not teach us to shut our hearts, but it teaches us to place boundaries. You can care deeply while still remembering that your heart ultimately belongs to Allah. When love is rooted in balance, it brings peace. When it is rooted in dependency, it brings anxiety. Protecting the heart also means being mindful of what we allow to occupy it. Constantly thinking about someone, replaying moments, and seeking emotional reassurance drains the heart's strength. Over time, this leads to restlessness, sadness, and spiritual distance. A heart that is busy chasing people slowly forgets how to turn fully to Allah. That is why the believer learns to pause and redirect their thoughts. Not every feeling deserves attention, and not every person deserves a permanent place in the heart. A protected heart is one that knows its worth. It understands that its value does not rise or fall based on how someone treats it. It finds dignity in knowing that Allah sees every tear, hears every unspoken prayer, and understands every unexpressed emotion. When the heart feels shaken, it returns to Allah instead of running after people. This return brings healing, clarity, and strength. In guarding the heart, there is freedom. You are no longer controlled by someone's presence or absence. You learn to love without fear, to give without losing yourself, and to walk away without bitterness. Such a heart remains soft yet strong, attached to people with kindness, but anchored firmly in trust in Allah. Overthinking is one of the quiet struggles that slowly weakens a believer's trust in Allah. It often begins innocently, with concern, care, or fear of loss. But when left unchecked, it grows into a habit that steals peace from the heart. The mind starts revisiting conversations, imagining outcomes, and questioning intentions until the heart becomes exhausted. In these moments, the believer may still pray and still mention Allah, yet deep inside there is a subtle struggle with Tawakkul, because true trust means handing matters over to Allah and being at ease with His decree. When a person overthinks, they are often trying to control what was never meant to be in their control. They want certainty in people's feelings, stability in situations, and guarantees in outcomes. But Allah did not create life in this way. He created it as a test where reliance on Him is essential. Excessive worry is not always a sign of care. Sometimes it is a sign that the heart is leaning too much on its own understanding rather than submitting to Allah's wisdom. The mind asks what if again and again, while Tawakul calmly says Allah is sufficient. Overthinking also distorts perspective. Small issues feel massive, delays feel like rejection, and silence feels like abandonment. Shaitan uses these moments to whisper doubt, making the believer question themselves and even question Allah's plan. Yet Allah is managing affairs in ways the human mind cannot comprehend. What seems late may be perfectly timed. What seems painful may be a doorway to protection. But a heart trapped in overthinking struggles to see this because it is focused on imagined outcomes rather than divine promise. True Tawakkul does not mean ignoring emotions or pretending not to care. It means acknowledging feelings and then consciously placing them in Allah's hands. When the believer says, I trust Allah, it is not just a statement on the tongue. It is a decision of the heart to stop carrying a burden that was never meant to be carried alone. Overthinking, on the other hand, is the heart insisting on carrying that burden by itself, revisiting it repeatedly and growing tired under its weight. Allah invites the believer to find rest in remembrance. A heart that remembers Allah finds clarity because it knows that nothing escapes His knowledge and nothing unfolds without His permission. When overthinking takes over, the heart forgets this truth and behaves as though everything depends on human effort, human response, or human approval. This is why overthinking leaves the heart restless. While Tawakkul brings calm even in uncertainty, letting go of overthinking is an act of faith. It is choosing to say, I have done what I can and now I leave the rest to Allah. It is trusting that Allah will not waste your patience, your dua, or your tears. When the heart learns this, it begins to breathe again. Worry softens, fear loosens its grip, and peace returns. In that peace, Tawakkul grows stronger, and the believer learns that trusting Allah was never a loss, but a source of strength. One of the hardest lessons a person learns in life is that people do not remain the same. Their priorities shift, their emotions fluctuate, and their circumstances reshape who they are. Someone who once felt close can become distant, and someone who once promised permanence may quietly fade away. This reality can be deeply painful, especially when the heart expected consistency and loyalty. Yet Islam teaches us that this is part of the human condition. People are influenced by mood, fear, desire, pressure, and weakness. Their change is not always intentional, but it is inevitable. Allah, however, is not like His creation. He does not change, He does not forget, and He does not turn away. His mercy is constant, His knowledge is complete, and His care is uninterrupted. When the heart fully understands this, it begins to shift its foundation. Instead of anchoring itself to people, it anchors itself to Allah. This does not remove relationships from life, but it places them in correct position, where they no longer hold the power to break the heart. Many disappointments come from expecting divine qualities from human beings. We expect them to understand us completely, to always choose us, and to never fail us. But these expectations are too heavy for any person to carry. When they inevitably fall short, the heart feels betrayed, even though the real issue was misplaced reliance. Allah never asked us to place our emotional security in people. He asked us to place our trust in Him and to treat people with kindness, patience, and fairness, knowing that they are imperfect. When a person realizes that Allah never changes, a sense of relief enters the heart. Even if people misunderstand you, Allah knows your intentions. Even if people leave, Allah remains near. Even if people disappoint you, Allah's promise does not fail. This awareness brings stability in a world that is constantly shifting. It allows the believer to navigate relationships without fear of collapse, because their peace no longer depends on someone else's consistency. Allah's closeness is not affected by time, distance, or circumstances. You do not need to impress Him, chase Him, or fear that He will abandon you. He is as near to you in moments of joy as He is in moments of pain. When the heart connects to this truth, it becomes stronger. It stops begging for reassurance from people and starts finding comfort in prayer, remembrance, and sincere dua. This does not mean that in people should make us bitter or closed off. Rather, it teaches us wisdom. We learn to appreciate people for who they are, without demanding from them what they cannot give. We forgive their shortcomings and protect our hearts by not building our emotional foundation on them. In doing so, we maintain compassion without becoming dependent. When Allah is at the center of the heart, change no longer feels like destruction. It becomes part of growth. People may come and go, but Allah remains. And when Allah remains, the heart is never truly alone. This realization transforms pain into patience and loss into trust, reminding the believer that while people change, Allah's care, mercy, and presence are forever. One of the greatest sources of inner peace is knowing where to place your expectations. Many hearts suffer, not because they lack love or effort, but because they expect too much from people and too little from Allah. When the heart looks to creation for fulfillment, reassurance, and security, it is setting itself up for disappointment. People are limited by their own struggles, emotions, and responsibilities. They may want to give, but they cannot always give what the heart seeks. Islam teaches us that true peace comes when expectations are directed toward Allah, not toward those who are as fragile as we are. Expecting from Allah does not mean withdrawing from people or refusing help and kindness. It means understanding the source of all goodness. When someone supports you, it is Allah who placed that care in their heart. When someone speaks words that heal you, it is Allah who allowed those words to reach you at the right moment. By recognizing Allah as the true giver, the heart remains grateful without becoming attached. If the person changes or disappears, the heart does not collapse because it was never depending on them in the first place. When expectations are placed on people, even small shortcomings can feel painful. A delayed response, a forgotten promise, or a change in tone can trigger sadness and self-doubt. The heart begins to question its worth and replay moments endlessly. But when expectations are placed on Allah, the heart understands that no moment is wasted. What seems delayed is part of divine timing, and what seems withheld may be protection. This perspective transforms frustration into patience and confusion into calm. Allah invites His servants to ask Him freely. He does not grow tired of our requests, nor does He feel burdened by our needs. In fact, He loves when His servants turn to Him in hope. When the heart expects from Allah, dua becomes a source of comfort rather than desperation. You ask with trust, knowing that Allah will respond in the best way, at the best time, even if it differs from what you imagined. This certainty brings peace, because the heart is no longer chasing outcomes, but trusting wisdom. Placing hope in Allah also protects the heart from disappointment in relationships. You can appreciate people without demanding perfection from them. You forgive more easily because your emotional stability is not dependent on their behavior. You give sincerely without keeping a record of what you receive in return. This balance allows relationships to be healthier and the heart to remain light. When the heart truly expects from Allah, it stops feeling empty. It realizes that Allah is aware of every unspoken need and every silent struggle. Even when no one checks on you, Allah is near. Even when no one understands you, Allah understands completely. This awareness fills the heart with dignity and strength. Peace is not found in people meeting your expectations. It is found in knowing that Allah never fails His servants. When expectations are placed correctly, the heart rests. It no longer fears loss because it knows that whatever comes from Allah is always enough. Islam teaches a beautiful balance in how the believer connects with others. It does not call for emotional isolation, nor does it encourage unhealthy attachment. Detachment in Islam is not about becoming cold, harsh, or distant. It is about loving with wisdom and awareness. A heart can be soft, caring, and compassionate while still remaining protected. The problem begins when love turns into obsession, when care turns into dependence, and when attachment begins to control peace and stability. Healthy detachment starts with understanding that people are part of your journey, not the destination. You can appreciate their presence without building your entire emotional world around them. When someone becomes the center of your happiness, their absence becomes the center of your pain. Islam guides the believer to avoid this extreme by anchoring the heart in Allah first. When Allah is at the center, relationships find their proper place, and the heart remains steady even when circumstances change. Loving with balance means giving without expecting ownership. You support, listen, and show kindness, but you do not demand that someone completes you or fills a void that only Allah can fill. This approach preserves dignity. The believer does not chase affection or beg for attention, because their sense of worth is not dependent on being chosen or prioritized by others. Instead, they know their value comes from being a servant of Allah. Detachment also protects the heart from resentment. When expectations are low and intentions are pure, disappointment loses its power. You no longer feel betrayed by every change in behavior because you understand that people are dealing with their own struggles. This awareness brings compassion rather than bitterness. You learn to forgive without reopening wounds and to step back without hatred when a situation becomes harmful. Being detached does not mean you stop caring. It means you care in a way that does not consume you. You can feel sadness without falling into despair, and you can feel love without losing clarity. This emotional discipline allows the heart to remain open while still guarded. It enables you to walk away from what hurts you without carrying anger, and to stay where there is good without fear of loss. Islam encourages strength alongside mercy. The believer is gentle but not weak. They are kind but not naive. Detachment gives the heart the ability to say enough when boundaries are crossed without guilt or self-blame. It allows you to choose peace over chaos and self-respect over emotional exhaustion. When love is balanced, it becomes a source of tranquility rather than anxiety. You enjoy people for who they are in the moment without trying to control the future. You trust Allah with outcomes and focus on sincerity in actions. In this balance, the heart finds freedom. It remains warm, connected, and compassionate, yet firmly grounded in trust in Allah. Such a heart is not easily shaken because it has learned how to love without losing itself. Trusting Allah's plan becomes most difficult when the heart is in pain, when something leaves that you deeply wanted, when a door closes without explanation, or when a relationship ends in a way you never expected. The heart naturally asks why. These moments test faith in ways comfort never can. Yet it is precisely in these moments of hurt that trust in Allah carries the greatest reward. Islam does not deny pain. It gives pain meaning by connecting it to divine wisdom. Many people assume that if something hurts, it must be bad. But pain is not always punishment. Sometimes it is protection, sometimes redirection, and sometimes preparation. Allah sees what we do not see. He knows what would have happened if something had stayed in our lives, even when we were convinced it was good for us. When something leaves, it may be because it was slowly draining your peace, weakening your faith, or leading you away from what is better. Allah removes with knowledge, not cruelty. Trusting Allah in hardship means believing that His mercy is present even when the heart feels broken. It means accepting that delay, loss, and disappointment can be forms of care. Allah never closes a door without wisdom, and He never takes something away without the ability to replace it with something better, whether in this life or the next. The believer may not see the replacement immediately, but certainty lies in knowing that Allah's promise is true. In moments of pain, Shaitan tries to convince the heart that it has been abandoned, but Allah is closest to His servant when they are broken, turning to Him with sincerity. Tears shed in dua are not wasted. Sleepless nights filled with remembrance are not ignored. Allah records patience even when it is silent. When trust remains during hardship, it transforms suffering into elevation. Letting go does not mean forgetting or denying the past. It means surrendering the outcome to Allah and releasing the burden of what could have been. The heart learns to say, Allah chose this, and His choice is better than mine. This statement is not weakness, it is strength rooted in faith. It frees the heart from bitterness and allows healing to begin. Sometimes Allah removes what you love to give you what you need. He may be teaching you reliance, humility, or self-worth. He may be guiding you away from harm you never noticed. With time, clarity often comes, and the believer realizes that what once felt like loss was actually rescue. Trusting Allah's plan does not erase sadness, but it softens it. It replaces despair with hope and confusion with patience. The heart learns that nothing is truly lost when it is entrusted to Allah. Even pain becomes a step closer to Him. And when the believer looks back, they often realize that what left their life did not break them. It saved them, strengthened them, and brought them nearer to Allah's mercy. My beloved brothers and sisters, when we step back and reflect on everything we have spoken about, one truth becomes clear. The heart finds peace only when it returns to Allah. People will come and go. Situations will change and emotions will rise and fall. But Allah remains constant. When the heart is attached to Him, it is protected from being shattered by disappointment or exhausted by overthinking. Do not think too much about anyone to the point where your heart forgets its purpose. Care for people, love them, and deal with them with kindness. But never give them the position that belongs to Allah alone. Guard your heart, because it is the place where faith lives. Fill it with trust, patience, and remembrance, and it will remain strong even in times of loss. When overthinking tries to steal your peace, choose Tawakkul. When people change, hold firmly to the one who never changes. When expectations disappoint you, redirect them toward Allah. Love with balance, detach with wisdom, and trust Allah's plan even when it hurts. What leaves you may be clearing the way for something better, and what delays may be preparing you for growth. If Allah is with you, nothing can truly harm you. If Allah is enough for you, you will never be empty. Place your heart in His care and you will find a peace that no person can give and no loss can take away. May Allah grant us hearts that trust Him completely, love with wisdom, and remain firm in faith through every test. Ameen.